Plumstead gave me opportunities that I would not have had at other schools. I was able to be involved in the arts and in sports and in music and to really be challenged and grow academically. One of the countless reasons that I love Plumstead are the amazing relationships that I made here as a student. My best friends today are the people that I grew up with here at Plumstead. Some of the best memories from my time at school were the trips that we took. There was one trip in particular that really stands out for me as a turning point in my life. In 8th grade, we went on a missions trip to the Dominican Republic. And I had never been on a plane before. I had never left the country. So I was excited and my parents were terrified. And we spent the days working really hard, laying the foundation for a church in the Dominican. We visited local churches and shared there. We spent a day in a really poor community where we distributed clothing that we had brought from home. And each night we gathered for a time of devotions and reflection. And I think back so fondly on that trip. And I realize now that it was the beginning of my life's journey. And part of that journey is as a wife and a mom. When it was time for our son Danny Jr. to go to kindergarten, there was really no question as to where he was going to go. And now he's in 1st grade, and that means he is here at school 8 hours a day. And that's a really long time. I miss him a lot. But I am confident in the knowledge that I can just trust my son's precious heart and his smart mind and his kind spirit to the godly teachers and staff here at Plumstead. And I know this to be the truth because I experienced it time and again. I can really clearly remember one morning. It was back in kindergarten and Danny and I were having a rough start. He was disobeying, I was not being patient with him, and I dropped him off at school with a really heavy heart. So later that morning the phone rang and it was Mrs. Taylor, Danny's kindergarten teacher. And she wanted to fill me in on what had happened that morning with Danny. You see, they started every day with a time of Bible and prayer request. And Danny had raised his hand and he asked to pray that God would forgive him because he wasn't obeying his mom that morning. And so after prayer, the rest of the kids all ran off to recess, but Mrs. Taylor held Danny back and she prayed again with him. And they asked God to forgive Danny that he disobeyed and to help encourage him in the future to obey and to listen and to want to love God and to serve him. And I'm just so grateful for Mrs. Taylor and that she loves Danny and that she was able to speak godly wisdom into his life at a time when he was vulnerable and I wasn't there. And for me, I just cannot put a price tag on the value of having your children surrounded daily with godly individuals in a caring community where students are educated to think biblically and to serve effectively and to lead Christ-centered lives.